Hi guys, I'm Ryan Houston and welcome to my fly tying channel. Your video is about to start shortly. Please take this opportunity to hit the like button down below, leave some comments, tell your friends. Interaction, likes, subscriptions help my channel to grow and help me to keep producing content for yourselves. If you're new to my channel, check out the other videos that I've got. There are over 500 videos at this stage, so there should be something there for everybody. Again, video is about to start. Hit that like button down below. Hi guys, so another pike fly, and this time what we're going to do is tie like a black rainbow type fly that has an attachment then for a whale tail or a dragon tail. So I have a Sakuma 545 here in a 6.0, and I've made a post for it. So the post is nitinol or nickel titanium wire, that memory wire, and I have a mustad fast hatch in here that's then been crimped, and we have a little bit of shrink tubing over that, and then a couple of beads on it that can slide back and forward. At this end then I have taken the drone, heated it to get this little hook in it, and that hopefully should stop the thing from pulling out. So the idea is that it'll hold a tail, but I suppose you could probably put a stinger hook onto it as well if you wanted. So I'm going to take our shank here and just put a little run of super glue on that, and then wrap our gel spun into this. So when we're putting posts on, I would head for the gel spun given the strength of it. And while that super glue is wet, what you want to do is wrap back and forwards, and you want to see those little blobs of it there. It's going to hold the tying thread down to the shank and give us a good rough base, something that we can catch onto, that our stuff won't spin around. So our post here, it depends on the size of the fly you're tying as to how big of a post you want. This one's 4 inches or something like that there, but I'm going to be tying it on by say an inch of it, so it's going to stick out the back. So you can see I'm sliding this through so that our little hook has something to catch onto. You can't really pull too tight initially, otherwise it won't slide. So once I've created that bed of wraps there, I can fold this, tie this down, sorry. So we'll tie it to the back here, and then make sure that we've got a good cover. And as we come up to the front here, then I'm wrapping over this little loop or bend or hook or whatever you want to call it that we created, and then I'm going to encase all that in super glue and wrap over it again, so as we have a real solid attachment. And especially at the rear end, because this is the thing that's going to get the, if you did happen to put on a stinger hook, this would be the thing that would take the abuse. So you want a good few wraps here that are well glued down. So next I want to take up a little bit of the space on my shank here, so I'm going to take just like a dubbing and dub 1.5 to 2 centimeters of the body, preferably into that while the super glue is still a little bit wet. It'll just help it all to stick to it and protect it against the pike's teeth. So we're creating that umbrella effect, so we don't want a huge amount of long fibers back into here to interfere with whatever we choose to attach to this. So I want that I'm going to create like a skirt and a lot of volume to the body if we can, so that then it will pulse in the water and it'll keep these materials just maybe an inch or so longer than this, so there shouldn't be a huge pile to tangle up with. So we're going to look for a bunch of our black bucktail here. I'm going to tie it in reversed and pull into it. Now some people will trim these off, I leave them because this I think gives a little bit more support to the front skirt and helps you keep that volume. I'm just going to use my super glue and glue a couple of inches of my thread and wrap into that tie-in of that, and then fold all of this back. Take our thread to the front of it, and put a little bit of super glue in there and wrap into it and create like a little dam just to hold these. You can see the sort of halo or skirt or umbrella effect that it creates. So now we're going to use some tinsel. So what I've done here is I've created a tinsel mix, and I have black, blue, red, rainbow, a little bit of pearl in here as well. You might be able to see. And I'm just going to misalign the tips slightly, not as much as I would do when we're tying our full flies with it. And I'm going to measure this back until, as I said, it's just coming maybe an inch or so beyond the fast attach clip there, and that should leave very little that could actually tangle, hopefully. Tie that, fold it all back on itself, and tie over. A little bit of glue on that. If you wanted, you could dub over that. What I'm going to do is just move this a little bit further forward of it, and then we're going to repeat the process. So another bunch of black bucktail, and then some more flesh. So same thing. Reverse it, allow it to splay around the shank, pull tight. Glue our thread, get that wrapped into that, and then we just use a big straw here and just force it all back. Take our tie-in thread to the front of it and create the dam again. So now I'm going to make another bunch of tinsel to go around this. So what I'm going to do here is I have this sort of like multicolored set. So we have blues and royal blue sort of colour, and copper and gold and hollow, and all manner of different colours in here. Set that on again, measure it out to roughly the same, a loose lap around, and that will sort of help it display all around that loose lap. And then I'm going to go for, I have a bunch of black hollow here, tinsel. I'll take that and I'm going to cut it across its middle, because as I said, we don't want it to be overly long. And then I'm taking the two ends, the cut end, pull this forward by a couple of inches, and then I'm going to set that on and allow it to splay around. It's probably tied 2/3 the way along its length or so. As you can see, we now have this sort of rainbow sort of umbrella effect, and I'm going to just force it all back on itself, doubled. A little bit of glue onto that to support it. So next, what I'm going to do is move to the black Connect-Lawn fibre. And we'll take a bunch of that and do the same. to double that back on itself. So here I'm looking something which is maybe 6 inches or so long, and then if I just pull the bunch apart, I do this on my knee, it's hard, you obviously can't see, but I'm sort of pulling it apart and throwing it back at itself until we misalign the tips. And then here I'm going to tie it in not too far off middle here, because I'm looking to build a little bit of bulk and I don't really want this to get too far back and start interfering with whatever we put behind it, because it would be slightly more prone to tangling. So you get this sort of splayed part broke apart. A little bit of glue. Up into that, and then take our straw again and just fold it back on itself. Come forward out. So this gives us the blackness of it. Brush it into it a bit. And now what I want to do is to put a little bit of black peacock mirage into it. So instead, I always like this sort of stuff with a crinkle in it. It gives you that sort of scaled effect. So I'll take the bunch and I'm going to do the same with that. I'm going to bend it over until it creates a loop here in its middle, cut it, take one of the two halves and pull it forward by about an inch or so to misalign, and then I'm going to set it up on my side at roughly the midpoint and tie it in. And what that'll do then is some of it will splay around a little bit. I'll take this then over to your side, double it back and tie on it, and just separate the tie-in angle a little bit. And that'll give us, the thing about mirage is sort of transmits the colour that's underneath it, so it turns that lovely sort of peacock black colour in it and gives us that flash that's indicative of scales, I suppose. So to finish the fly off, what we're going to do is put a black craft fur head on it. So I'm going to take a bunch of black craft fur, but if you don't have that, don't worry. You could just use the connect line again. I'll take a bunch of black craft, set it on, let it splay all around. I'm trying to tie in on the one spot here, and then I'm just going to half hitch down onto that a few and cut it off, and that is that finished. So if I take wherever I've put it, there it is there, a little brush, and just separate out the craft fur so that I can then glue the tie in, separate it out and fold it back. And pinch. So the straw allows me to pinch without getting glued to it, basically. So that's fly tied apart from eyes, so we'll sort the head out. A second, we just need to let that sit a bit to dry the super glue first, so we'll come back to that. And the idea then is that we can clip in our whatever tail attachment it is we choose. In this stage, this is a Dragontail, but use whatever colour suits. And we now have a fly that probably stretches out to 10 inches or so, but as I said, we could add a stinger in here if we wanted. So I'm going to use these silver blue pearl eyes and the blue Peter fly, the one we typed before. I'm going to put this on as per usual with the 2-part 5-minute epoxy. And in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some black glitter in with that. A little bit of glitter. And take a cocktail stick. Squeeze out a bit of my epoxy and I'll mix it together then. I find the glitter also gives you a good indication of how well mixed the epoxy is, because you can actually see it, and then as you mix and mix and mix, mixes it through, and once it's evenly distributed you know that your epoxy is well enough mixed. So we take our epoxy, put a bleb on each of the 2 flattened sides that I created by the pinch, and that's the bed for the eye. So then what you want to do is take another little bit and then just coat the bottom, set it on at the front and rotate so that it joins the whole lot up at the front to create like a continuous bleb around. And then we add our eyes. So I just set that on and slide it back into that bleb. And then we want to just check how well filled the head is. As I said, if you don't want any weight in it, you can keep this to a minimum and just have it purely to stick the eyes on. I like it just to create a nice shape to the head as well, so I like to maybe have a little bit more. The fact that it adds a little bit of weight possibly creates a bit of action in the fly too. So that is our black rainbow tied with a view to attaching a tail post of some description. So that just needs to go on now to a rotary fly dryer and leave it until it dries. As per usual, if you like what you see, just like, subscribe, tell your friends, check out all the other videos on the channel. Until next time, take lines. Thanks for watching.